Okay, so this conversation will be about getting into brave spaces. And our first question might be, how can we have conversations in which people could be braver? Maybe we can turn to the conversation architect first.
Inevitably. No, so how can we go and take people to a braver space on a very basic level, just in a nutshell? It's a mixture of macro and micro. And I know that sounds very vague, but what I mean is there's a process orientation to how you set up the space itself, whether that's a virtual meeting or a face-to-face meeting or a workshop or whatnot. So the simple logistics of it, how many people are there, what sort of guidelines we've got set up. But then there's, on the micro level, there's some of those at the table dynamics, the back and forth, how we actually have the conversation and how we make it a space that's actually inclusive, where it's tending towards leadership and not loudership. So it's not just the lauded voices being heard, but it's not just inclusive in a checkbox kind of way, but we're genuinely making sure that all voices are coming up. This doesn't mean we don't have conflicts, but that those conflicts are moving towards the constructive side rather than that destructive side where the conversation's not progressing forward. But that would be, at the very basic level, it's attendance to that macro and micro level. And of course, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's the nutshell.
Yeah. So Kavita and Sarah, your thoughts on this? On how leaders might play a role in creating that space?
My perspective would be the nonverbal one. And particularly, if we train our ability to read other people, we will feel safer, right? We will feel safer in our communication with them because we'll pick up on their needs and we'll be more emotionally intelligent. And we will see those that don't have the loud voices will be seen, right? So more emotional intelligence would also create more safety. That would be my input. And we can talk more about that later, but I'm also a licensed mind trainer. It goes together because the signals that we emit comes from somewhere, right? They come from our inside. So we cannot learn what positions to put on because that's not how it works. It comes from the inside. So leaders to work with the self-confidence and all these strengths, personal development for their employees to feel more safer, right? To feel more safe. That will be so two directions. From one working on the inside and the other one working with the ability to read others.
Okay, the ability to work on the inside. Okay, that's EQ. So working with yourself and working with others. Yeah.
Totally.
So what role? And I'd like to ask Kavita this question: does listening play? In terms of letting people be in their space, letting people be seen. Kavita.
Absolutely, thanks. Interestingly, as far as listening goes, that is one of the most important traits that a leader can have, because unless they are being listened to, people don't usually talk, and that's just basic human psychology. After a while, you'll just shut down and not contribute. So as far as listening goes, when you talk about deep listening, it also needs to be displayed very consistently within the teams, because that is when it does have maximum impact. For example, you could, Sarah referred to building trust within the team. You could actually build trust through consistent, deep listening as well, because when people feel valued in an environment, when they feel respected, that is when they will, jump into conversations, into brainstorming sessions, and actually contribute fearlessly, right? So that is how you can actually use deep listening as a tool to convert a safe space into a brave space.